hurt people, you know, or there's always something more to it. And so I know it's really hard to let go of things, but you don't want to be that person that is stuck. And when you hold on to hurt, it's kind of like driving with and I didn't get this isn't my own quote or anything like that. This is just something that I heard, and I don't remember exactly. I think I might have heard it a couple different places, but I think the last place that I heard it was Brian Tracy had talked about it, and that holding on to hurt is actually like driving with your brakes on. So you're trying to get somewhere, but you're like, you can't go anywhere, because like, think about it. If you were to, I think this is the analogy that he uses, where if you were to buy yourself with like brand new nice Mercedes, but then they had put one of the wheels on backwards. It doesn't matter how nice that vehicle is and how new it is, if that front wheel is on backwards, the moment that you start driving, it's going to go around and round and round and round and round. And so you're constantly stuck. And the thing that I hear people say, and I've done this before, is that people say, I'm going to give up everything, and I can forgive everything, and I can let go of all these different things that have happened to me in my life. Everything but this one thing. Everything but this one. It's like they want to keep one for themselves. And that's the thing, is that one thing, that makes you vulnerable. That makes you susceptible to attack. So you can be going along, feeling super, super strong, you know, in any part of your life. And then all of a sudden, if that one thing comes up, it will take you down. And the thing is that it kind of magnifies, and it gets bigger and it gets bigger. Like and that's the thing that Satan will use to get you. So the thing that was like the biggest hurt to me, I thought that I was going to wait and put it off to deal with it. I was like, I'm not ready to deal with this. This is too much, too intense. And one day it just occurred to me that I thought I was going to go through this whole entire process of like processing it, like how this person hurt me, like the things that were said, what I said, and how I reacted, and you know, but each time that I would go through that in my head, I would relive those moments. And the thing is that your mind and your body, like, it doesn't know the difference between a memory and like what's really happening, you know? So each time that I would go through that in my head and start to like relive all that stuff, obviously then I would start to cry, and I would start to go through these same emotions of like it just happened. And if you think about it, like think about something that's really hurt you and something that you're holding on to, the moment that you start going into the details is the moment you start feeling these emotions. And so your body, it doesn't know whether it happened like 15 years ago or whether it happened yesterday. And I just like realized that I was like, in order to move past this, like I can't go through the details. Like the moment that I start going through the details, it becomes too much. And so I literally had one of those moments where I was like, I can't take this. This is like a box that is full of all my hurt and pain and whatever else. And I was like, I don't even want to look at it anymore. Like, I don't want to I don't want it. I can't go through it. It's too much for me to process. And I literally was like, handed it over to God. And I've heard people say that, and I'm like, and I never really thought that it was, you know, like for real. But I just was like, okay, yeah, hand it over, give it to God. I've heard that. But it literally, I could see it. Like, I was like, here you go. I was like, take this. I can't, like, if you just dispose of it, just get rid of it. Like, you do what you're going to do with it. I can't handle it. It was almost like the moment that I decided that I was going to just let it go. It's like, almost like other people wanted to remind me of my hurt. Other people wanted to say, well, this person did you wrong, or this person did this to you, and don't you remember, And I was just like, they would try to bring it back up, and that's Satan trying to come back in and trying to get you and to be like, no. You really want this box full of like pain and suffering. You really want this hurt. And I was like, no. I'm sure I don't want that. So I didn't allow other people to try to remind me of the situation or, or any of it. I was like, if it's done, it's done. And I just kind of like thought about it that, I'm not like a scripture scholar or anything like that, but that Christ says that he remembers our sins no more. So I was like, okay, so if that means that it doesn't remember it, then I shouldn't remember this other thing. And yeah, it was really, really, like if I wanted to, I could really go into it and be like, oh yeah, this is, but I had to make a conscious choice to not go into that and to not allow that to show back up. And the thing is that the reason why we're told to pray for the people, those who despitefully use us, pray for our enemies, is because we literally put out like a vibration. Like, if you ever just had like a feeling that someone doesn't like you, or like, that's because you have intuition and you put off a vibration. And so when you're putting out that hurt and that pain and those things, that goes out into the universe, and that other person catches that, and it's kind of like this, like, it's like a satellite going back and forth, like pinging back and forth, like you're like negative energy, and then they're pinging it back to you, like all this negative energy, like wah 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 wah, going back and forth. And the moment that I started sending out the positive energy and started sending out that like peace and love, things started to change. It didn't change overnight, but if you can imagine, like when you're like mad and you're angry about something, you're like, it's like you're holding a bunch of dust in your hand and you're like trying to like throw it in the wind, and it's like coming back and just like stinging your own face. Like it's ridiculous. And I'm not saying that the things that people do are right. But there's always something more to the story. There's always something else to the story. Why something happened. Maybe that person was hurting and maybe you didn't know what was going on, in their life. Like hurt people, or there's always something more to it. And so I know it's really hard to let go of things, but you don't want to be that person that is stuck. And part of the reason why I decided to like move past it is that I started really getting into the whole like law of attraction, and I was thinking about it, and I was like, that hurt made me, like, that was my Achilles heel. And if I had this thing sitting on, like, think about it, like everything being on a shelf, okay? And if I had this one nasty thing that was on the shelf that was like, like I said, like a box, I can't put anything else there until that is gone. Like, I can't put anything else there. It's because it's taking that space. And so I have to get rid of it, clean off the shelf, and prepare and make an open space for new light to come in, for something nice and beautiful to come in that I can set on that shelf. But nothing can go there if I have this ugly hurt sitting there on the shelf. And it's kind of like that, that dirty closet. I think it's that closet back there. Maybe it's that one. That has everything in it that you're like, don't open that. People come over and you're like, don't touch that. Try to move past your hurt and try to not get stuck, because that will become your Achilles heel, and it can always be used against you. And trust me, it'll come out. And then if you make that decision to let it go, then you have to be committed, and you have to remain committed, and you have to make sure that you don't allow other people to try to remind you that you just have to let it go. It's got to be gone completely. So once you make that commitment, there's no going back and lifting up the bandaid and picking at the scab. So anyways, I invite you to do that. I know that it really, really, really helped me, and it helped one of my dear and cherished relationships on the road to healing. I'm not going to say it's 100% healed yet, because it's still in the process, but it's so exciting that it's being healed, and I'm super, super grateful and thankful that I made the decision to let go. So I invite you to let go and